called in sick, so she won't be here. Steve? You here?
I was going to check, yes.
Holly?
Present.
Melissa?
Here.
Trish?
Here?
Angela?
Yeah, I'm here.
And I'm here. All right, perfect. Any additions or deletions to the agenda?
I had the landscape direct contract I added. I sent you guys an email about that though. That came in this afternoon. So that's really the only thing that was added. And then you had the contract, right, Andy? So that doesn't, are we adding that for tonight, or are we gonna table that and approve it?
So under the director's contract?
Mhm.
No, we can, it's there. We have it on there in contract one, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure if people wanted more, well, we can talk about it, and if people want more time, we can table it till.
And then we got director's evaluation and review. So both of them are the contract and evaluation.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think it was just that contract. Sorry, taking minutes is gonna be all over the
All right.
place.
Communications, Historical Society paving.
That is going to be starting April 24th. I met with him last night and we looked at the clock and a few other things, and he's going to give us that quote in the next few days, and he hopes to have it done around that same time. He wants to have it done at the end of April, all of it, so that will be good. If there's anything else we can think of, he's going to give us a quote on the benches as well. I said I wasn't sure what direction we were going to go in, if we were going to order new ones, and he said, well, I'll just give you a separate quote for the benches and you can decide where to go from there, which it never hurts to have information, so I'm good with that. And then the board member onboarding orientation, I had reached out to Dana Walker, had posted that she did a onboarding orientation for Romeo's board. So I had reached out to her and asked if she would be willing to do one for our board since we're mostly all new. And she said she doesn't have the time right now, and she gave me a couple of people to reach out to. So I reached out to them, and one of them did not give me a cost. She just said, I would recommend waiting until all of your seats are full. And the other one gave me a price for her orientation, but she also said she would recommend until all of our seats were full. So when I was brainstorming with Holly and Trish, we kind of talked about what if we watched the board member MDA webinar together, and that way we could have discussion and kind of do our own, session together. Obviously, it's not going to be as great as if a facilitator was here, but we could at least get a little more comfortable with roles, responsibilities, expectations, things like that. And I think it's an hour long, and then we can, discuss as we're watching.
Were the webinars that I passed around a year ago, I think I gave you when you first came on, has that been given out to all the people?
I don't know if I sent it to Melissa.
Okay.
I will though, but that's the one I'm talking about, the board member one.
Okay.
Just
And that's kind
putting
of
on
why
the
we
projector.
discussed doing it together, because like we discussed, when you sent them before, how many people actually watched them. But if we had a meeting and we all sat here and watched it and we could discuss it and be a little more interactive, at least people are going to see it and hear it and actually do it, because you have to be here anyways.
Right, and I do feel like the discussion is a little more productive than just watching them talk about
Especially
it.
if some of us don't understand it, other
Right.
people might have the
Right.
correct answers.
Okay.
So we would like to just set up a special meeting. We could order pizza or something and just knock it out.
Perfect.
But it's up to, the board and the time that everyone wants to commit to it. Otherwise, we can wait until we have a few more seats and then do like a facilitated orientation.
You said she's tied up for now. How far out do we have to look?
Dana would not give me a time.
Okay.
She gave me people to reach out to. Annette, the one that I put in here, she is $500 for an hour and a half. And she brings handouts and walks the board through a whole onboarding, roles, responsibilities, etc. So it's really whatever we decide to do. We don't have to discuss that right at the second.
Let's put that as an agenda item for next time.
For next month?
And then
Okay.
that way we can get a motion on whether we move forward with that or not. Good with that, and go to the next topic. All right, any public comments on agenda items? Approval of consent agenda, please.
So moved.
Steve made the motion, second.
I'll second.
Holly seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, let's move forward. All right, first one, approval of minutes. We're going to need approval for the February 22nd, 2023 minutes, please.
I have some issues to raise
Sure thing.
with regard to the minutes. With regard to item number F, and minutes for term expiration, if I recall correctly, I did abstain. Normally do because I do the appointing at council, so no reflection on the candidate, but because I have to bring that before council, I abstained, and I'm pretty sure that I did do that.
You did.
So it indicates unanimously, well,
I'll
should
take
say
that.
Schneider, the S. Schneider.
Yes.
Too many Schneiders. Abstained. Number one. Number two, I'm a little confused as to item number 8, so it's crossed out, but the second line is also highlighted in blue, and so I'm trying to figure out what that means. It crossed out, but I presume there's a reason for it being highlighted.
So, in the additions and deletions to the agenda, we removed items A and H from new business, so I just struck them through on our
Okay.
minutes. Is
Okay.
that not the appropriate way to handle it?
Okay,
Is that okay?
yeah.
Okay.
That's fine, yeah, I was just curious. And lastly, when we, item J, as far as the unfortunate new owners of European Deli, looks like maybe they got snuggered. Didn't the discussion begin with the extent to which the DDA should be involved with regard to the crowdfunding? And we had discussion that we had to limit the extent to which we could become involved, but then what you put in here, we were happy to such and such. But wasn't there some indication that the DDA was limited in terms of the extent to which it could be involved in the crowdfunding? Can we have a discussion to that effect?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think it's wise to indicate that in here, to the effect that we were requested to do such and such, and we can, well, we can't do that. And then, but the board is happy to share any business. I just thought it would be wise to put that in there because we were acknowledging that we have limits as far as what we can become involved in and what we can't.
It makes sense.
My suggestion.
Yeah. So, we're gonna add that to the minutes. All right.
Okay. Otherwise, I move to approve.
Okay. So move to approve with changes as discussed. Okay. Any second on that?
I'll second it.
Holly seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
I
Opposed? All right, that passes. All right, so we got to move on to motion to approve bills payable.
Do you mind if I touch on this for just a second?
Sure thing, please do.
So if you go to the very first page, it is the village's report. So this month's a little wonky because they took over March 1st. So we have some items on the village's report and some not, which is why we have this chart still. From here on out, I would like to discuss, since everything will be on the village's report, just giving the amount and the village's report, if that is okay with everyone else, just because we're gonna get everything in one sheet. Our treasurer is going to sign off on all the invoices. I'll still give copies of all the invoices, but if it's good with everyone that we kind of move to just the report the village is already preparing for us, then it might be the cleaner way to just be able to read through everything.
That's fine, I think that's how you guys see it in the village, right?
Yeah, we get what they call warrants. And for each department, a little bit similar as far as layout to the check disbursement report that comes before the council. And then so we have general fund, water fund, sewer fund, equipment fund, on down the line, with specifics for each check that's written.
So,
And occasionally there are questions.
and she can lay this out however we want and with whatever information we want, but there's not really any use in doing the work twice. If we're already getting the report, it doesn't really make sense to. If the format is acceptable to the board, then it doesn't make sense to do it twice. So if we're good with, even if we want to change things, I can, adjust it with Kim to whatever we would like to see. But if everyone's good with just the village report that they give us, then that's probably how it will be next month. This month was just, there was things that the village did not pay for us because they didn't take over until the 1st. So anything that was charged from February did not make it onto this, if that makes sense.
I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I feel it'll be smoother.
It'll be less, it'll just be more streamlined.
I just have one change that needs to be made. The Wi-Fi invoice total is just incorrect. It should be $11,170. So the total invoice is, they lumped January and February on this invoice because they had not received their January payment yet. There's a late fee, and then there's all the February charges.
So the 11,215 should be 11,170.
Yes, it should be 11,170.
So what's our total still the same, that's just written down, huh?
It was written down.
Okay, so the total's still 18,734.
Well, no, the total there would be around 2.
Yeah, that's what I was just trying to double check.
So the total would be 18,689 and 5 cents.
All right, so that's the approval. We will need a motion for that, please.
I'll move to approve.
C made the motion. Can I get a second?
I will too, since I'm treasurer. I know I can approve the reports. I approve payables,
No, you can do the motion.
what I figured.
Yeah. We need somebody else to motion that.
I'll second.
All right, Alyssa seconds. Any further discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. All right, let's move on to treasurer's report. You want to take the next 4 items? Or just anything you want to discuss here before we get the approval?
So this will be our last report through LDC. They will come through the village from now on, but the village did, balance to LDC for February, so we're good to start in March, we're ready to roll. So everything was super easy and straightforward in February again,
Good.
no issues.
So going forward, how does that affect what the charges we were paying for LDC for the year?
That I don't know, did you ever figure that out? I think our fee is our yearly fee is our yearly fee.
Our yearly fee is our yearly fee. We won't be paying monthly. The yearly fee covers the reporting to the Department of Treasury. However, Kim Kiesler said she is more than happy to do that if we provide her with the correct training. Because she, wants to make sure she's doing it appropriately, but that does come with our yearly fee to LDC anyways, and they, Kim works well with anyone, so I don't foresee a problem with them continuing to do our reporting with the state. Kim has worked amazing with Laura and LDC this whole time, so it's really just if we want Kim to start doing the reporting to the state, that's good, but LDC is good to keep doing it too.
The annual fee is $4,000, correct?
Yes.
That's the annual fee.
Yes.
But that, that fee encompassed a lot more activity on his part, didn't it?
So what Laura told me was that we were paying $500 a month for them to do what the village is doing now.
In addition to the $4,000?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, so the $4,000 covers like our membership, our reporting. I'm honestly not sure about everything else, but I can definitely find out exactly what our membership covers. I know that is like that's the base membership cost though, but if we're paying for it anyways and we want to be a member, then we might as well let them do the reporting.
So my discussion with Sam before was when we're talking, we're doing this after we get it done, come and explain the ins and outs of why we should stay with you and what benefits you offer. He said he would do that.
And
So-
I went out to lunch with him last week and he said he would be more than happy to come and talk to us about after the transition about why it would be a benefit for us to stay with them. So
Correct. So,
That would be a value.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine.
all right, with that being said, we're gonna need approval on the February balance sheet.
I'll motion to approve the February balance sheet.
Any second?
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That one passes, thank you. February profit and loss budget.
to approve the February profit and loss budget.
All right.
Sorry.
Need support?
Support. Steve supports. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. February profit and loss.
Move to approve.
All right, Steve, do we get support?
I'll support.
Melissa supports. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. Last one, February check register.
Move to approve.
Steve, support.
I'll support.
Melissa supports. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. All right, let's move on to the director's report. Maybe that one will be more exciting.
All right, I'll try my best. I have an update. The light pole that was knocked down in the State Farm parking lot, that has been, I got confirmation from the person's insurance that they were sending us a check. So I ordered the light pole from RCI. As soon as it comes in, they will be installing it. We'll talk about the Historical Society UV film. I spoke with Jim Wade the last few Saturdays, and he was talking to Kim Shaw about putting an awning on the front of the building, and he wasn't sure where that was left. So I said we would start talking about it. I gave him the facade grant information as well. I reached out to a few awning companies just because he would like it to be a historical look for the building. So they're going to come out and give us quotes on that, and then we'll take it from there. I talked to most of the businesses this week about downtown cleanup. I have today, it was written on most of the whiteboards at the school today for seniors to email me, and I received several emails this afternoon from kids, and I've received 2 emails from OP families who will have their parents and children participating, so hopefully those keep rolling in. I already talked about the museum painting. We're going to start discussing the Christmas light facade grant with the finance committee. I have gotten the prices that Chris Yarborough paid for the installation, and then the years following that, and then we can get a couple more quotes, but I think that cost is probably sufficient to determine what kind of grant we're willing to offer. So we'll start talking about that. I talked to Jennifer Nicotri about her ribbon cutting ceremony. She wants to wait till the summer, but she is also interested potentially on a seat on the board. So I'm gonna meet with her in the next week or 2 and discuss that.
So are they up and running in there now?
They're up and running, yes. She's up and running, but she does not want a ribbon cutting ceremony until she has her front done, and she would like it to be warmer. So, good with that. There was a slight issue with the bank. Signers were not removed and added. Stephen Holly took care of that, so that should be all set. Thank you guys. I know that was time consuming. There was an issue with DTE and First Con, the checks being mailed out, couple of the checks did not have an invoice number on them, so because the check says Village of Elmont, they went to the village, so the village is crediting us that money back. And then we've paid First Con, so we're good there, but we're gonna get checks from the village. I added a business resource page on our website with links for helpful resources. Thank you to Trish's recommendation of having the small business, what was it? Can't even remember now.
Just resources for.
But there was one specific one, and Sam from LDC brought it up to me too. So I can't recall off the top of my head, but I have the township, the village, I have the health department, LDC, MDA, MDC, and then a small business one, and a few other ones. Just what else?
Construction Code Authority.
Construction Code Authority. I put their link on there. Yeah. So just a page for them to go to and find as much information as they can. The county press put the downtown cleanup event. They put an article about it in Sunday's paper, and they will continue to do so, and the Tri-City Times will as the event gets closer. I met with Jim Alt, Dana Walker, and Sam Moore to discuss just some networking, but also, how we can help each other and how we can collaborate and start working together and as a county and collaborating and helping each other out. They asked, what they could do for us, and they're an invaluable resource. They are a wealth of knowledge, so it's exciting. I started the Main Street cohort training meeting this morning. There's 3 of them. The next one's in May, and the last one is in July, and it's communities that are interested in becoming Main Street communities. The one thing that she said today was that Main Street likes to see 80% of the board take their training, finish their training, their online virtual training. So I can provide links to that, but Lee Young from Main Street is also going to come to either the April or May meeting and talk about why we should pursue Main Street and the benefits that they can offer us. So I think that is all that we aren't going to touch on in the rest of the agenda. I went to the MDA Spring Workshop in East Lansing. That was amazing. There was an overwhelming amount of information and just people that have already, every hurdle you can imagine, those are the people in the room that have already found solutions to it. So it was great. First introduction into the MDA realm, and everyone was super welcoming, and I met a ton of people, and I think I've already reached out and emailed a dozen of them. So I'm excited for that, and it was very beneficial. And our attorney believed our check from the parking lot lawsuit should be arriving within the next week. I have not received it yet, but should be coming soon. So I think that's it.
Do you have any questions or anything for him? I want to thank you too for spending all that extra time trying to fix that issue.
Yeah.
So, for those who don't have it, it's in the letter for Chris the Booze, or statements to the bank is in there, so multiple times that they try to get that fixed and didn't get done. So these two had to spend extra time out of the time to go to another location to actually finally get it accomplished, so thank you.
Yeah, unfortunately, what that situation demonstrated is we're going to have to keep our eyes on the Almont branch in terms of why there was a hitch. There definitely was a hitch.
Yeah.
And what needed to get done wasn't getting done, and no satisfactory explanation. And to this day, we don't know what happened there. But it's a sign that something may be amiss. So yeah, I think we'll have to keep an eye out. Unfortunately, yeah, Holly took the ball and she was a quarterback, I was a fullback. Ran with it, touchdown.
We appreciate that. It took a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's fine.
It shouldn't have taken that much effort, I can tell you that.
Yeah, well, it needed to get fixed.
Yeah, so thank you.
So,
Let's go on to new business then, unless anybody's got anything else on director's report. All right, finance.
I will say I started structuring the agenda a little bit differently just because we have committees now. If that works, if that does not, we can go back to how it was structured before. I just thought if we put everything under finance that the finance committee has talked about, just might be easier to fly through.
That's fine. All right, our finance committee people lead off with our exciting garbage cans.
Garbage cans,
Do you-
super exciting.
Do you want to talk about them?
That's fine. We can take a break. We can talk a lot. So Angela, Krista, and I kind of narrowed it down to our best two options. Garbage cans are outrageously expensive. Let's just start there.
Mhm.
It is obscene.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. We need 16 garbage cans. Brian recommended 35-gallon or higher capacity. Maybe it was even 37, 30 something. I can't remember now. So that's what we tried to stick with. And as far as metal versus concrete, he said the concrete actually wears quicker due to salt. So we went metal route. He said they will last longer, especially if we're going to pull them in the winter too. But so I guess salt is not a factor in that, but we may or may not pull them in the winter. We definitely wanted some kind of rain cover because DPW said it's taking them longer to empty our trash because they have to slit the bags to get the water out of the bags when they empty them. So these are our recommendations based on cost and attractiveness,
Yep.
functionality. There are certainly even nicer options, but the prices just go up and up. So I will say on a personal note, since we looked at these two, I did drive through, and I don't remember what town I was in, and they had something similar to the second one that has the
Swing top.
it's completely enclosed and it has the swinging door, and it's plastic. That part's not metal, and they don't look nice. They don't.
Honestly, looking at that, I was wondering if that was going to be kind of a liability, no offense with kids and
Right.
breaking and banging on it.
Yeah. And I think it's also kind of like a sanitary issue too, in my opinion. Like, I don't like to touch those either. They're dirty. But that would keep it much more enclosed and keep the rain out of it as much as possible. But there are a lot of negative sides to that as well. So.
And assuming on these quotes, we're not paying the tax, right?
Right.
Tax would come off. And Angela did reach out to see if we could get any type of discounts. We do get like a volume discount, but that's reflected here.
They're not, so far they're not budging on the shipping. They're not local, so it kind of is what it is. And I did look at trash cans on Granger's website, which is the place that DPW uses, and they were not as nice and more expensive, like not as nice looking. I'm sure quality is fine, but yeah, they're a lot.
Well, we got two options. I guess somebody make a motion which one you want to go, or any further discussion or questions on them? Or?
Holly, you're recommending
I would
First
recommend the first one, yeah.
The one with
The one with the rain hood.
the rain.
Yes.
I will also just say Brian was like, this is not that big of a, I mean, it's a big deal for downtown. It's going to make it look great. But in the scheme of his day, like anytime I had a question, he would call me to explain his answer, like why he thought this, what, you know, it was great to be able to get the opinion of the people that are going
Prior
to be.
to our meeting,
Yeah.
to discuss these, I was, looking them up on my own, and I'm texting Angela about the concrete versus, and I'm like, can you ask Brian what his opinion is, because I don't know, and she gave me an answer. I'm like, when you see him, no rush, and answer in like 20 minutes, so
Yep, it's
it's
been
helpful.
great.
Good supervisor.
Oh, the other thing we were looking at was there's been people putting trash that is not typical pedestrian waste in those, so we were kind
Like
of
bulk trash.
looking for a smaller
Yes, a smaller hole to be able to not put large things in there that don't really belong in,
that we don't need to be emptying.
downtown trash.
I'll make a motion to purchase the $23,000 garbage can.
It'll be minus the,
Yeah, minus the sales tax.
so that you just approve the 16 MF 3399s, because it looks like that's the model number. We got a second on that?
I will support that. Can I?
Yes.
Can I support it? Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Buy some trash cans.
Yay.
More exciting than Bill's favorite.
And FYI, it will be black to match the lip.
The light.
Oh, I thought that,
Yeah.
I thought it was last time. All right. Number 2, UV film for the Historical Society.
All right, so that's me. I met with 2 different companies who came out a couple of weekends ago. The Historical Society is only open on a Saturday, so Jim Wade would be open any day, but since he's already there, I found a couple companies who would come out on Saturday and give us quotes on a UV protectant film for the windows. There's nothing on them currently, and there are people who don't want their antiques displayed in the window with, the sun shining in. He showed me a hat that they had in the window for less than 30 days, and it had a card on it describing like what the hat was from, and it has a rectangle from the card just from being in the window. So we had a couple of companies come out, and the one quote was $704, and that was actually the guy who sat there and talked to us for the better part of an hour. And I don't know if you guys know Jim Wade, but he'll talk all day. So he sat there and talked to him, and Jim had a million questions, and he was great. That was the one I was going to recommend anyways, without seeing the price, but he is significantly cheaper. The other guy was in there for 10 minutes and out, didn't. But it basically takes if something would last without being completely deteriorated in 10 years without the film, it takes it to 50 years. So, and it's slightly tinted, but you'll still be able to see in and out. You probably won't ever notice that anything's on it. So those are the quotes.
Did they quote comparable materials, both of them?
Yes, they're the exact same film. Like
the one just goes into way more description. The
yeah,
printed one.
yeah. They both held up the same sample from the same company, and to show us that you could see through it, and yeah.
So that was
So $704 is the one from Solar Protection Solutions.
Everyone was more than 400 more.
Having had an office on the east side of Main Street for, 800 years, I can attest to the fact that sunshine west in the evening is just glaring.
Mhm.
It's horrendous. We actually had to put a film on our entrance door because of a blind person in a reception area. So from that standpoint, yeah, it's a real problem. And I think without question, the items, especially antique type items, documents, etc., that does cause damage. So it's needed from that standpoint. And number three, as far as the way that Mr. Wade had laid it out in that window, the Historical Society has dramatically improved since he became the director.
Absolutely.
That's, I think, a real benefit in terms of the Historical Society itself and what it can display and mean to the community. So I'm all for this, 704, for the Solar Protection Solutions proposal.
Are you motioning for that?
Yes. Last words, move to approve.
I'll second that.
All right, any further discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. The window tint.
I will also say that I've been in there almost every Saturday, and I've been going to the monthly meetings, and he was gonna retire, and he was only gonna see this year through, but he thinks that he might continue on. So that's great news for us in the Historical Society, because I'm not sure who would take over if he was not there. And he is just an infinite wealth of knowledge. It's incredible.
Just a note, going back to that committee, on the budget, I don't see one for the building. We talked before having a line item for that building for maintenance expenses, so that way we earmark going forward, so just make a note of that as we're doing our budget.
Is that in the?
It's not called out separately in
Yeah.
there.
We want a separate line item for the
Yeah.
Historical Society building.
Yeah.
Remind me after, and I will go get the chart of accounts, because I feel like on the new village chart of accounts it is on there, and it will be.
It's not on the old. So it wasn't, and it wasn't before, so.
I'll make sure, yeah.
If not, that would just be mine. That would be
Yeah,
my.
for sure.
Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah, no problem. Flip on my paperwork. Go to the next item, sorry. Flip too fast.
So the next one is Pocket Park and CBD landscaping. Angela, do you want to talk about that? 'Cause,
Oh, yeah. So Connie is here from American Tree. She gave us her proposals for landscape services this year. The board entered into a contract with them in 2021, I believe. Yes. So this would be the optional third year extension. And this is the cost she's provided for our streetscape landscaping. For the flowers, the fall planting, the cleanup, the maintenance.
Is there anything you want to come up and talk about with it, or any changes, or any thoughts, or?
Not really any thoughts or any changes. I mean, there is an increase on here due to increase in labor and increase in cost of products that we're supplying. If you guys have any questions, I can answer them, but it's the same stuff that we normally do.
Okay, so nothing in that regard has changed. Okay.
That's correct.
What's the differential from this year?
The difference?
Yeah.
I don't have that.
Pass the number.
So the budget.
Actually, I do. Well, if you look at the, the main bid that is for the pocket park and the streetscapes. Last year, I believe it was $10,053, and this year it's $10,695. I believe the window boxes that were on the railing, that stayed the same, and then the bed by Speedway went up by $75, from 600 to 675.
That's not a reasonable circumstances, you know. American Tree does a good job.
Make a motion, Steve?
Yes. Yes. So move things along, yes, that was the motion.
Steve makes a motion to accept American Tree's proposal for the third continual year on the contract. Does anybody want to second that?
I have a second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, all set. Thank you. All right, Pocket Park, historical study?
Hold on, I added the landscape direct.
No, sorry.
No, it's okay. They just sent me their, prices this morning. Their fountain maintenance and, power washing, etc. They're the ones who originally installed it, so I would obviously recommend staying with them, but, they just need, I would have put it on April's agenda, but they need, to get us on the calendar before April 7th to have it opened, so.
Do we know what the cost was last year?
I do not off the top of my head. I can definitely pull it. We can even approve it pending.
I mean, if this cost is
I don't think it's a power of
subject to change also too, so depending on if anything's broken when they open it.
Right, and I think as the fountain gets older, obviously, the institutional knowledge that they have of it is gonna become priceless, because they know what the issues are, what they aren't, how it's aging, what needs to be done.
From the get-go.
Yeah, from
Absolutely true.
Let's
From the
have
start.
Here for pocket, so we got Pocket Park water,
Yeah.
that's just the water
It
bill.
wouldn't go off what our budget
Right.
says, because we're finding that things aren't even budgeted for.
Can I use the computer? I can look it
Our
up.
regular expenses.
Do you mind if I use it for 1 second?
Put that in the finance committee, okay, cool, thank you. Are you gonna look for it real quick?
Yeah, it'll take me 1
For what I recall, I do not believe that's out of line for where it was before. From what I recall, let's see, throw it out here, but I don't see it there.
Okay.
Quote, and this is confusing.
I know. There's like a
Whatever you wanna
whole,
call it. It's like a story.
I know, that's what I was like, what are we at?
Oh
I can
yeah,
tell you-
they were messed up because I added that after I'd already printed the packets out, and I didn't want to reprint all of them.
I can tell you, I mean, as she's looking through that, my one's been very easy to deal with. Last year, they were supposed to get some leaves and stuff done out of the fountain. We didn't get a chance to. He came out, did what he did, came back, didn't charge us any extra. So the times that I've talked to him, even when I call him and say, hey, make sure everything was still good, he's like, oh yeah, we got you on the calendar, we never missed. So, and he was out when he said he was, so.
Yeah.
And then
while we're looking at my suggestion going forward, if we got stuff like this, just make sure we have last year's versus this year's, so we can kind of compare.
Absolutely.
Or,
I already wrote that down.
budget, make life a little bit easier.
We're working
I don't know, it's good work in progress, right?
Okay.
on it. No pressure. No pressure.
I know. I'm like, okay, so last year, the found opening closing was $2,043. So it is $62 more on that. It's $8 more on the drinking fountain. And it is $14 more on the power washing.
So what was the total last year?
Well, it doesn't give me a total, it just gives me, oh wait. Yeah, it doesn't have,
I mean, it was miscellaneous stuff. She said $8.
yeah, it's less than $100 more this year.
So,
I'll make a motion to approve.
Sorry.
Landscape director.
Yeah, sorry.
2015.
Well, I mean, it's gonna change, so if anything's broke, which I'm sure everything's not perfect.
So do we need a motion just to approve the initial, Steve, or do we have to say the dollar amount? Because there is yearly always someone else.
You can make it conditional, sum not to exceed.
Okay,
Approve of
I'll make a
some
motion to approve landscape direct not to exceed, let's say $3,000.
Okay. Support. Support. All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. All right. Now we're going to Historical Society painting.
Hold on. It was not to exceed 3,000.
3,000.
Yep.
Okay. We already talked about the Historical Society being repainted. Since the initial quote was received, a while back, his cost has went up about $400 for labor and product. So we would just have to, what you guys approved, I put your minutes in here, was $4,030, and it just has it all together with the window and the paint. So I actually don't know if the window went up or the paint or both, but the total now is $4,430 with the window that has already been done and the painting quote.
So we just need a motion.
So we just need to approve the increase.
Make a motion to approve the painting of the windows for, is this JMJ? Is that what it says? Weird cursive in the proposal, before $1,800.
I think so.
I think that's JMJ. I think that's what that says. Some kind of fancy cursive over there.
I support.
Any further discussion? And I'll just note that, so back, this was August, we approved it, and then the contracts never got signed in time. So actually, the amount that we had would have varied by this year. So we approved it on the old number, so just to clarify.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that one passes. Clock painting.
This is more, I kind of touched on this already. He's going to get us, the same guy who's doing the Historical Society is going to get us a quote on the clock to repaint it. And he's going to refurbish the plaques that are on it too, because they're rusted. He's gonna get us that quote in the next few days, and he hoped with work to be completed around the end of April, beginning of May. However long it takes him to do the Historical Society, then he'll do that. So that's more just an FYI. I'll have more in April, at the April meeting. I'll probably just send everyone the quotes, that way you guys know what is, we can kind of touch base on it, not like make a decision, but so you guys are in the loop, since I'll be asking to approve in April, and then he'll want to start work immediately after, because he'll already be starting on the Historical Society, so.
Okay.
And that's that.
Pocket park benches. We need to place it, discuss it on purchasing new tables and benches.
So those benches are still sturdy. They're just ugly.
They were rough.
They look rough. So the painter is also gonna give us a quote on refinishing, like restaining, sanding down the wood, because that is, the metal can just be painted, but the wood is,
It's peeled, and
yeah.
we went and
it's-
looked at them after our meeting Monday, and they look bad.
Yeah. So he's gonna give us a quote on that, and he's make it separate from the clock, and we can just talk about it then if we want to do that, or if we want to go back to, I know you guys had talked about ordering the precast concrete tables for there. I think some tables would be amazing there to sit and eat. Craig from Roots is on board with doing whatever, we need him to do to have tables out there for outdoor seating. So we can I can get if we want to go in the direction of precast again, I can get those current quotes, because the ones that I found were a couple of years old. And then have the paint quotes too, and we can talk about that in finance, but I wasn't sure if anyone had any input on, what they would like to see there.
I think it would be really nice if we could allow Roots to use part of it, at least, for outdoor dining. Don't know the process or anything, but it would be really nice to have outdoor dining in our town. It's not an option.
So, going back a while ago, then we did start that discussion. Actually, Craig came to us about cutting a hole in the side of the building and having to go all the way out there. The only complexity to that is if he's serving food out there with waitresses and all that, they needed a kind of fenced off area, right, to separate it, right? So the big question is that the path he wants to go down, or as we're looking at social districting, is it a matter of, hey, you can get a drink, you can get a sandwich, or whatever you want, and take it out there, right? Still can cut the door, but it's, do we have to cordon off an area? I think we need to get an idea from that with what's going on, my 2 cents.
Like if we need to put tables are available for carry-out only. Yeah.
And Angel's also been in discussions with David Trent about some potentials behind Mikey's and Maria's in that area, right? So, I think it's all great future conversation. I wouldn't jump on the benches right now. Maybe get a quote to see what it costs to paint, but that might be something we need to look at as a bigger deal.
Yeah.
But I don't disagree.
And they want to talk, Chief Martin is on vacation right now, but I wanted to talk to him about, because David wasn't here when they were talking about doing the barriers. So I wanted to just get Chief Martin's 2 cents on if that was still something that they were planning on pursuing in the future, and we could order it all together, whatever the original intent was. But
Yeah, there's some precast security barriers they're looking to put up in front of the police station, so we just drove a car through there. So that got installed and some other stuff, so there's a few things that just kind of got stalled.
Yeah.
Didn't go forward, but I think if you can drive that conversation
Yeah.
and get more of that, the potential behind the other area.
So we'll just go with the quote for redoing them now and see if that's more than we're willing to spend, since we know that we're thinking about getting new ones, and we just take it from there.
I'd rather not spend anything if we're going to make changes to how we use it.
Right. The other idea is if we do, let's say it's a year out to make that happen, get the quote and can we repurpose those benches anywhere else?
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Could we put them in areas up and down Main Street too, instead of just, yep.
In terms of the pocket part and the potential coordinating off, legal aspects, I'm not sure about, and as far as the aesthetics, I don't like the aesthetics.
Correct.
Coordinating off. I mean, it's not a very big park to begin with, and
It's awkward placement.
coordinating off, it just,
Right.
aesthetically, it's not that beneficial or advantageous to do that. It's my gut reaction to that, but we can see.
What if they didn't, let's throw this out there, if they didn't cordon off, and they did cut a door, could get out there, and it was more of, we got the social district, and you could just take your food and go,
Mm-hmm.
seem a little bit more appealing in that regard?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, that's my reaction to it. So, I'm sure we'll be addressing in the future, but
Yeah.
that's just how it strikes me.
Yep, I agree.
All right. Thanks for your comments. All right, events, birthday project.
So the events committee has got together twice to talk about Earth Day, and we would like to have a budget not to exceed $500 for food and supplies for the day. Yeah, I don't know if anyone else has anything to say.
Supplies, we're looking at purchasing our more garbage bags,
Gloves.
yard waste bags, so the big paper bags, gloves, so people don't have to touch icky things. I think that was it. Was there anything else we needed?
Yeah, that was the supplies, and then water, pop, chips, sandwiches, sliders, or subs, some kind of food. Yep, trash bags, gloves, stuff like that.
Anybody want to make a motion? Spend some money?
I'll motion to approve the Earth Day budget not to exceed $500.
I'll support.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you. Thanks for putting them together. Moving on to C, the contract. So director's contract is included. I did have a couple of conversations with Doug Tuma, and if you take a look at it, the executive committee met, went through discussion with Angela, worked through what we thought would be efficient for the contract. In red is the adjustments we've made, so that calls out those direct. So if you don't want to read through the whole thing, you don't have to. Couple things we came up with. Discussing the annual review, right? There'll still be a salary review and a high-level annual review, but what we said is the executive committee will meet with Angela 4 times a year, and we will do a review with her then. That way, and this is something they do with the school district and some other areas, so that way if there are issues or things that are starting to rear up, it's not something we talk through over a year. So if there's issues that will come up, we will meet and then agree to have whatever the recourse or the resolve is by that next meeting. And obviously we'll escalate it to the board if there's any problems, but we'll follow that mantra. By following that, we will agree to have the final done, bring it to either the April or May DDA board meeting so it's approved and everything goes in for the June final budget.
Okay, so that's on that. We did add to be competitive with everybody out there, and I did go to the seminar where they talked about the burnout on DDA people. We talked through vacation, 2 weeks, years 1 through 4, 3 weeks, years 5+, along with 7 days sick time. Okay, so we did add that in there along with their salary. The first review, which we agreed to when we hired her, would be at 6 months. So this new cadence would start after that period. So basically, it would go, September, December, March before the next one after that. So we won't meet until then. These kind of go hand in hand. I mean, we'll go to the next part there, but and then we also added a review. These are all the items that we are going to go over with Angela on her review. And then we'll also send that out in a month prior to our meeting when we do her for salary discussion. And then everybody else can make comments. Talking with Doug, he said it's easier to keep it simple, and that way we can get it more concise. And if there are goals that we have, then we'll assign goals, like maybe contact X amount of businesses. But if that's the case, as the executive committee works through that, we're going to notate that in here, and that way everybody's apprised of it. All right. Also talking with the attorney, it is a yearly contract, but added the language to match Michigan's language that she is an at-will employee. All right. So the yearly is more of salary type things, but at will like the rest. So what we wanted to convey to her, it's her job, it's hers to own. Don't feel like every year you may or may not be here. So, Melissa, you were there? And
No, you covered pretty much.
okay.
I think the one thing that's not in here that I'm not, I don't think it doesn't have to be for me because I will not do it, but I really think in the future the board needs to put that leading up to big events, more than any 1 or 2 days of vacation should not be taken. I don't know if it's 2 weeks before a big event.
We did discuss that.
That's the only thing I would suggest, just because I mean, if someone's sick, they're sick, but planned vacations leading up to big events is going to become a problem.
Executive director did take a vacation just prior to a major event. That would be irresponsible.
Right.
And probably shouldn't be in that position.
So
Does it need to be in, I don't know that it needs.
I absolutely agree. I don't know if it needs to be in the contract, but I do think that that's just.
well, at the end of it, vacation is going to get approved by executive committee, so we easily can just say no.
Okay,
Right.
perfect.
Right. Oh, and also under hours of work, Doug did add the language that we asked about clarifying the outside employment. It's only for a DDA. Any other outside employment, if you choose to, that's okay. It's just there.
Right.
All right, so we don't need to add the 2 weeks prior. So that'll just be discussed with just be discussed with the executive committee. So if anybody sees any changes to what we did here, let me know. If not, then we will go ahead and make that official. I'm going to get it back to Doug just to make sure. I said I want to run by everybody here first.
Are you looking for a vote on it this evening?
I am, so we can get it there. She's already getting paid. It's just I'd like to make it complete.
Yeah,
And if everybody's happy with that process flow that we talked through. So.
Yeah, and Doug Toomer did review all the contents of the proposed contract that I'm satisfied, and I'll move to adopt the Downtown Development Authority Employment Agreement between DDA and Angela Edwards.
Support.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. I'll get this clean one back to Doug and make sure he's good with the markups I did. That was the 3rd revision or 4th revision, so. Okay. If everybody's okay with the performance evaluation we drafted and how that works. Again, if you want more or less to it, say it. And again, per the contract, it's
clearly says in here, we can make those adjustments as we see fit. So we can, as a meeting, say, hey, maybe we need to add this and this, that is allowable in the contract. So if everybody's good with this form, and you approve it, then we'll start using that.
I think it's a great start. I will make a motion to adopt the quarterly performance evaluation for the DDA director.
All right. Second?
I'll support that.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There we go. Thanks for everybody for doing the committee work. That was, I think it's a huge help breaking it up that way.
Yeah, me too.
On to old business, we have none. Any public comments on non-agenda items? No?
Yes, I do, actually.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned something about the signatures at the bank.
Yeah.
When was that taken care of? Can I ask, since I was a signer in that account?
Well, you
Look
were.
at my calendar.
Yeah.
It's in my calendar when we went.
What day were you informed that you were still a signer?
I asked you a question first.
Well, we're working through that.
Looks like it's March 7th is when Steve and I went to the bank.
Well, when I was at the bank on Friday, I was still a signer on the account.
The Friday before that.
No, last Friday when I was at the bank.
Okay. Okay, when were
And I
you notified before you were a signer?
wasn't notified.
When
I asked,
you sent us a letter asking
Yeah.
us to remove you.
yes.
How-
Because
how-
I asked when I was at the bank if my name had ever been removed.
And they disclosed that you were still on it?
Yeah, they can because I'm a signer. I could have got any information I wanted.
Who disclosed that you were still on
One of the tellers that I was at.
it? Okay. Well, we'll get with the bank, because they obviously have some issues there. But we
So-
did.
We have documentation that Steve and Krista are the only signers on the account.
But as of Friday when I asked, I was still a signer.
I understand what you're saying.
So.
I understand.
That's not the documentation we have, so we
It
will.
should have been done in December. I don't know why it was not done in December.
It-
so.
It was.
It was, and again, it wasn't done.
It was not done, and we went and saw the bank assistant vice president multiple times. So none of that was taken care of.
Did
So-
you take the minutes to them?
We absolutely did.
Everything's been done, including
copies.
including a statement to the bank of the issues. That's why we had to go to another bank location. And Steve commented about some potential issues there, so. We will, if they're telling you, and
They told
actually,
me, yes. I did not get any information. I, didn't want any. I just wanted to know
I'm not,
if what I asked had been taken care of.
right, well.
Because I didn't need to be a signer on the DDA account.
No, and under our idea, you were removed, so I don't know, sadly, whoever's doing their work there is not doing their work there. Or they should not be even telling you you're on it, because we were indicated that you weren't multiple times.
Yeah, if I'm still a signer, they can still tell me. I mean, they,
That's
Because
the big-
their computer that they looked at still had me a signer, so yes, they could tell me.
Then, yeah, there's a problem with their
There's a
system.
problem there. So,
And the DDA made its first effort to resolve this issue on January 4th. Where there was a meeting between one of our board members and the branch manager in Elmont to fix all of this,
yeah,
and it wasn't fixed.
but we were told it was fixed.
Yeah,
We were told that at that time frame it was fixed. So there's, again, sorry for
Like I said,
that.
I only asked twice, and both times I was still a signer, so.
Yeah, well, we'll address it for them because they clearly have our minutes. They clearly were well corrected that you were not on there. So whoever gave you that information on Friday, I understand it's in the computer, but that's their issue. We'll address it with them.
when Holly and I went to Imlay City, which is what we had to do, we believe because there was something amiss here in Almont, we presented them with our minutes. So,
Numerous times.
so Franklin Bank has.
But they
our minutes.
they also asked for, this was before I received an email from Tracy. I was talking to Tara and she asked for the minutes that hadn't been approved yet too, because she didn't want to, the original minutes from whenever, however long ago, added Christy to the account. And she said, I need minutes of Christy's resignation. And I said, well, they're not approved yet. And she said, I'll take those because in order to make these changes, I can't add her. And the minutes say to add her. So we even went through all of that. And that was that was right after the February meeting.
Right. So we've had numerous discussions with them to fix this issue, and again, we've given the assurances it was done to the point that they had to go into another location, and they were rest assured that it was correct. At this point in time, we're just adding a second signer. That's the only thing we're waiting on at that, for a third signer, no second. So
That's like a moot point because the
right.
village has, at this
Right.
point, it just,
Right, but you have been multiple times told us that you were not on the account. So,
Yeah, thank you for updating us. Something's still amiss, obviously.
yeah.
Emily said, these two people are off. This person's on.
Yeah,
So
we
one
even-
branch doesn't know what the other branch is doing?
Well, their main office is Brown City, so they should,
Pardon?
Brown City does all their inputting on the accounts and whatever, so.
Headquarters, yeah, fine.
Yeah, we even had the village get involved with it too, so.
When we were there dealing with the teller, did they contact Brown City?
She did not know, she mentioned she used to work at the Brown City branch.
Okay,
That was information Brown City.
okay, yeah, Brown City's headquarters.
Okay.
Tracy well knows.
All right, any other board questions or comments with everything going on? No? Anybody got anything?
Not sure I trust that bank. Don't have a lot of professionalism.
Yeah,
I think their computer system is way outdated.
well, I've had numerous discussions with a few people afterwards, and they have their issues overall. But I think that person involved that we originally saw too had some issues. So, the hard part is, and that's Steve, back to you on Village. I know talking with a few other Village council people, they have their reservations too with some issues. So, but that falls in your court, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I
We can't control what you guys do. We're utilizing.
I did speak with the branch manager prior to Holly and I going to Imlay City branch. And just kind of a gut sense of that conversation, and the tone and articulation seemed, at the other end of the conversation, just seemed to be off. Hard to articulate what it was, but that was not the normal communication between that branch manager and myself. And prior to this situation, this incident, I'd always found her to be very responsible, and nothing that would have given us advance warning of something like this happening. So I'm surprised at all that, but obviously something's wrong.
Well, and to that point, what started a lot of these issues back last year, as discovered, is that the assistant vice president was also our treasurer and had access to the account on this side and that side. That is a huge bank, and we know now. And I don't know what the bank, if ever, did to deal with that or not. So that person never should have been treasurer here. So that's a big liability compliance issue. So
Yeah.
if they're going down that path, there's other issues. And
Yeah.
again,
Well,
at this point in time, the council, we can't control what the council banks. We agree to use council, or village to use our stuff, but,
Well, prior to your coming on board, we did not have any expertise regarding banking regulations. So you bring that to the table before this time. Well,
but
nobody ever.
the banker there should have known that they should not have
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I agree.
But to add to that, if you go back to the beginning of the DDA, Marcia Billy worked at the bank and was the treasurer.
Mhm.
Carol Marsh worked at the bank and was the treasurer. So it's been that way all along.
Then that way and legally are two different things.
So,
Well-
That's a huge, that's been a banking,
but that's been for 25, 30 years.
again, that goes back to Tri-County's credibility and being
Well, it
wrong.
was before Tri-County Bank. It was Almont Savings Bank.
Well, it's Bank Secrecy Acts and
So,
reg whatever.
I mean, I wasn't on the DDA, but I'm just saying, I worked at the bank way back then. It's, you know, so,
And
That was
whatever's
fine.
going to fall on my head, I always wanted to have a branch manager of one of the banks on our DDA board to figure they would know what the hell they were doing. And, you know, from a financial standpoint, would bring some expertise and important members of the community. So I was advocated for that and was, I guess, unfortunately successful in doing that. I wanted somebody from the banks. It's like, and yeah, little did I know. So live and learn.
And they can definitely be on the board, they just can't be treasurer.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Mm. Yeah, usually work. So,
Yeah.
oh, you're the financial expert, okay.
Well, the amount of stuff that you can do when you're trained any money laundering.
Yeah.
is
Mhm.
just-
Well, in many ways we're becoming more and more and better informed.
So, any other thoughts or questions or anything? All right. No. We have a motion to end this at 8:26.
So moved.
Do we
We
need
didn't
to follow
need a
up on that?
motion.